Forget you didn't build that. The president says he didn't mean that.
Those ads, taking my words about small business out of context, they're flat out wrong. Of course Americans build their own businesses. Every day, hardworking people sacrifice to meet a payroll, create jobs, and make our economy run. And what I said was that we need to stand behind them, as America always has.
So he says that Republicans are taking his comments out of context, so Republicans firing back with this ad, playing more of the exact same speech.
There was a great teacher somewhere in your life. Somebody helped to create this unbelievable American system that we had that allowed you to thrive. Somebody invested in roads and bridges. If you got a business, you didn't build that. Somebody else made that happen.
All right, on just aesthetics, the music, you have to give the advantage to the latter here, just the music. Anyway, did either of them make a point on this? Both ads, by the way, are in their entirety on our website. You could see the address below, foxnews.com, your world. To Hadley Heath, putting all of this in context right now. What do you think, Hadley?
Listen, the troubling thing is you didn't build that, the president's remarks. Those weren't taken out of context. In fact, if we look at the larger context of the speech, and I encourage your viewers to go online and read the entire speech, watch the entire video of that speech, or better yet, put these remarks in the context of the president's overall economic policy agenda, and we'll see that this guy has been about class warfare, he's been about soaking the rich from the get-go, and that's really been his suggestion every time we talk about deficits. He wants to increase taxes. When it comes to Bush tax cuts, he wants to keep raising taxes on people who are the most successful. So this theme about individual effort and individual talent not being determining factors in success, that's something that he really believes in. I think he just revealed that in his speech. You
know, when I hear the president on this sort of stuff, at face value, it's alarming, and then I try, when he comes with follow-up explanations, the explanation does make a little sense that we all had good teachers, we all had friends or supporters. I never heard an entrepreneur say, thank God for those roads and bridges, or I'd have been screwed. But leaving that aside, I think that he thinks through his remarks, realizes, well, that didn't sound right, and then tries to re-explain them later. The trouble with video and audio and being able to recount this digitally as we can is that it comes back to haunt you. And I'm wondering whether it reverberates at all, or people just, it feeds a narrative or feeds a bias that you have. If you think the president doesn't like entrepreneurs and he doesn't like business, this feeds that beast. Others who hear the Republican ad will say, well, you know, they always take the president out of context. How do you think all of this is going to sort out?
Well, let's look at the bigger context going on in our country right now. We do have very high unemployment. We have a president who hasn't met with his jobs council for the past 6 months. We have a situation where Americans are questioning, what is it really that drives our economy? Is it the government, or is it individual Americans who get up every day and go to work and create valuable goods and through voluntary exchange create wealth? So we have to ask ourselves this question, and I believe we are as a country. We recognize there is a role for government establishing a rule of law, maintaining justice, but the question today is, has government overstepped its role? Is it doing too much and maybe now really being a stumbling block in the way of entrepreneurship instead of being something that, you know, sort of creates a level playing field?
Well, I do think in the end this whole election is about the role of government, whether you want more of it or less of it. It really is. I mean, I don't care people's views on this subject, but I do think that's what this decision comes down to in November. The president will argue that in this environment, even now, with things still slow, we still need the government there, I guess, as training wheels for this economy to keep us rolling. Republicans would argue, well, the training wheels have to come up because that's what's killing us. And polls are tight on this very issue as a result, that Americans seem equally divided. If people come to the view that you have, why aren't more coming to that view right now?
You know, I think something that's missing sometimes when Republicans want to hit back on the individualism note is that there is an important factor that civil society plays. You know, we're not saying that, you know, as conservatives we believe it's every man for himself and we're one-man islands, we have to do it on our own. But we point to a strong civil society, you know, communities, families, those important mentors and teachers who, because they are excellent at the work they do, we can help one another. And it's not simply that we believe, you know, you've got to go at it on your own, but that when government steps outside of its role, it's harmful to the institutions in civil society that are so helpful to us as individuals. So I think Romney should come out and say, listen, you know, maybe it's true that no one does it on his or her own, but we don't need government coming into the picture and redistributing wealth and giving us handouts. We can do that among ourselves. We can give private charity. We can have relationships with each other that are positive and build each other up. But government actually obstructs those relationships and makes everything worse.
Is that message better forwarded with music or without music in the end? I think music helps.
I think music helps. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right, so you and I are in agreement on that. Hadley Heath, thank you very, very much. Meanwhile, forget making nice with a nip